Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 35 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on my writing. So, yay, I made it to day 35, 65 days to go. So I I wish that I'd done my writing before I went to work tonight, because tonight started out really slow. And I was like, I'm not getting any work. I should have stayed home and done my video. And it's funny because I was talking to my friend earlier, and I was talking about how if I do my video before work, when I go to work, just leaving my house and whatever, the internet connection seems to be better and it uploads like within 5 minutes. But like otherwise, if I just do it this way and I upload it to YouTube, for some reason it takes like 5 or 6 hours. And I guess last night it took longer than that, which was insane. So my videos aren't loading even when I'm doing them. I mean, they do load eventually, they just take forever, which is weird. I don't know why it does that. I don't know how to fix that. So anyway, we were talking about that, and I'm like, all the more reason to do it before work. But then I was trying to make up for having not worked a couple of days last week because I wasn't feeling good. So I thought, okay, I'll just go in early and I'll get extra hours and whatever. And then I ended up not getting any extra work by going in earlier. And then I ended up putting my writing off until the end of tonight. And I kept thinking all night, I'm like, I should have just stayed home and done my writing and my YouTube video before I went to work. So I will remedy that and I will not make the same mistake tomorrow. Plus, I have stuff I have to do later tomorrow. So it's probably better if I wait until all of that stuff is done before I go to work anyway. So yeah, I keep trying to think that I'm fixing things or making it right, trying to control and figure stuff out. And I don't have control. I just have to remember that I don't have control over how things work out. I don't have control over how much work I get. I don't have control over, um, I don't know how I feel. I don't have control over a lot of things. Um, and I can't keep trying to figure it out. It's like I make myself crazy trying to figure out how it's all going to work. And then it all works out one way or the other. It just doesn't always work out the way that I think that it will or the way that I've planned out in my head. But at least I'm to the point where I'm not like getting disappointed or discouraged when things don't work out the way that I plan. And I'm grateful when they do work out, even if it's not how I figured out that it would work. So, I mean, tonight worked out okay, and I did get everything done. In fact, it's so crazy because I'm super tired. I just want to go to bed. But then I was like, I got to do my writing. So I opened up my laptop when I get home and I started doing my writing. And I got through chapter 21 of Lanoia, and I was like, yay. And I wanted to just do chapter 22. Like, I was just totally in the zone. I just want to keep going, and I want to do chapter 22. And I did go back and add a sentence to the beginning, or two sentences to the beginning of chapter 20 to kind of set the scene as to where the character was, because that was bothering me yesterday. So I fixed that today. And then I read chapter 21, and I added a character to the basement that I said can't be in the basement previously, but I put him in the basement anyway. I don't know why I did that. And although I do like some of the comments that are in there, I'm not sure that I like him in the basement. So I kind of want to just go back through and take them all out. But then I like some of the comments and I like how it ends, and it kind of ends with him and her, whatever. But I think I can fix it, and maybe I'll fix it tomorrow. I did like the chapter. I thought I was going to have to add a bunch of stuff, and I was thinking all these things I need to add to make it whatever. And I was like, oh, I already wrote it that way. That's really cool. So it was kind of nice to realize I didn't have to add as much detail to this chapter that I thought I was going to have to, that I was thinking that I would need to, because I already put it in there, and it was actually cooler than what I was thinking. So I was like, I really like this. I really like this. But it wasn't, but the other character wasn't really necessary for the scene, the chapter, the whatever. So I think I'm just gonna go back through and take him out. I'm thinking about it. I'm debating because it works. It works with him in there, but he doesn't have to be in there. So it's just kind of one of those, it works, but it's not necessary. And I don't know, I haven't decided if I should leave him in there or take him out. But I'm kind of thinking that someone else, one of my friends, made the comment that that particular character seemed kind of creepy. I don't think he's creepy. I didn't mean to write him as creepy. I didn't mean for him to come off as creepy. He's just supposed to be kind of old and grumpy. And that's that's what I meant. I didn't mean for him to be creepy. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe just because of what he's doing, but he's doing it to, I guess I didn't describe it very well what he's doing, because he's doing it to share powers, to try to, I don't know, participate with all the rest of the teachers and whatever. It's not meant for him to be creepy. But apparently to her it came off creepy. Nobody else said that it was creepy, so maybe it's not creepy to anybody else and it's okay to leave it in there. It didn't seem creepy to me when I read it. It just seemed like part of the story the way that I wrote it. But at the same time, I was like, it's not even necessary for him to be there. Like, I was like surprised when I put him in there. I was like, he's in this chapter? He's not even supposed to be able to be here. Because he's too old to go up and down the stairs, is what I said in the previous chapter. And then now all of a sudden he's down the stairs. So that just threw me off of my own writing, because I said he wasn't supposed to be able to be downstairs, and now he's downstairs. And then, of course, at the end, he says he's not ever coming down the stairs again because he's too old to do it, which I'm like, okay, that would have worked better if I put him in the previous chapter, that he actually came down the stairs the first time and then decided he was too old and wasn't coming down afterwards. But I didn't do it that way. So, it's weird that if I didn't make him go down the first time because he was too old, that I made him go down the second time, which doesn't make any sense. So I think I have to go back and take him out of my chapter, because it would make more sense for him not to be there than to be there. But I don't think what I wrote was creepy. I'm just kind of, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired, and it's just kind of one of those things when I'm writing. I'm sure other writers do this, where you kind of go back and forth on the writing, and I'm like, does this character work? Does this make sense to my story? Is it necessary to my story? And sometimes it's just really cool writing. I'm like, oh, this is really cool conversation, but it makes absolutely no sense for this event to happen, or this conversation to happen. It's just one of those, kind of like me and my random tangents. So I'm like, oh, that's a really cool story, but what does that have to do with your video? I don't know, but it was fun. I just randomly remember it. So, I mean, I do things like that in my videos, and I think sometimes I do that in my stories. And so I have to go back through, which is the whole point of having beta readers, because they can point out my random tangents. And it's the whole point of going back through and rereading it kind of with fresh eyes, because like I said, I didn't remember how I described stuff in chapter 21, and it's way cooler than I was thinking what I was going to have to add to it. And I was like, oh, wait, I already did this, and this is really cool. I really like this. And I do really like what the one character says that added to it, which means I have to take the other stuff out. But if you don't know it's there, you're not really going to miss it as a reader. So, and I probably won't remember it either. So I just need to go back through and delete that character from that particular chapter, because it's not necessary. He doesn't actually need to be in the rest of the book. He's not a I don't know. He's a supporting character at some point, but he's old. He's not going to be around very much longer. You have to read the book. I'm trying not to give spoiler alerts to my book, especially when I'm like right at the end of the book. So one more chapter to go, and I literally wanted to just sit there and read it right now, just read through it and be like, okay, is it just one of those simple things that I can do in like 15-20 minutes, like I did with chapter 21 and chapter 20? Actually, I think I changed stuff in chapter 20 more than I thought I was going to, but I didn't end up changing that much in chapter 21. So I thought I was going to be changing a lot in chapter 21, and I ended up not changing very much at all, except I probably need to go back through and take out that one character, which means I have to change the ending. Oh. But it also makes me want to just sit there and do chapter 22. So then it's so funny to me that it doesn't matter that I'm tired, that I've had a long day and all of these other things. I sit down and I get into my writing. I'm like, I just want to finish. I'm so close. I just want to do this. It's so exciting. And then I'm like, then I have to make myself stop. But if I'd done it before work, I might have actually been able to finish. And depending on how much changes needed to be done or need to be done in chapter 22, I might have finished my book today. Or at least my revisions of it, and then I still have to, find somebody to edit it for me, and all of that fun stuff so I can publish it. So it's not like it's finished, but it will be my revised again. So this book is one that I feel the most confident about and the best about because when I started writing it, I was working with my mentor. So she was checking the first probably like 9 or 10 chapters. So she would check it and then I would rewrite it and then she would check it and I would rewrite it. And then oddly enough, I'd send it to beta readers and they're all telling me that there's not enough detail and they can't picture my character environment. And I'm like, okay, well, my mentor said I didn't need all the details. So now I went back through and I've added a bunch of detail to the beginning. And apparently, all the parts that I didn't send to my mentor, I was actually adding a lot of that detail to. And some of it I've just gone back through. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. I need to add this or I need to take this out or whatever. So, and I've just done it just by going through and rereading it myself. But it's been several months and I forget things and then I read things and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or, oh, this would be so much cooler with this. Or, I've talked to some people and like, it's missing this or missing that. I'm like, okay, well, to add the detail, I'm like, well, I can add this to the story or this to the story. I'm like, oh, that would be cool. And I was like, all right, I just made that up. Cool, I'll go back through and add it to my story. Because it wasn't my original thought process when I made the story. But it works with the story. It helps to kind of explain things a little bit. So it makes it and it makes it a little bit more fun, I think. I hope. I don't know. I don't know. But, and I still need to ask my one friend that was helping me years ago if she can edit for me because she was done some editing. My sister would be better, but my sister's way too busy and not interested in editing right now. So, she's like, nope, can't help you with that. But I'm trying to just find someone that can help me and that's willing to do it for like a trade or something of some kind because I can't really afford to pay somebody to edit my book. So it won't necessarily be professionally edited. Because I mean, my sister and my friend have both done like a minor in editing and as far as school goes. So they have some experience as far as editing goes, but they're not like, it's not something they do on a regular basis anymore. My friend, I don't know that she's ever actually had an editing job other than she took some editing classes in school. My sister, on the other hand, actually had a job as an editor for a while. She didn't like it very much, but she did. So it's not her favorite thing to do, but she can do it. And she's busy with a bunch of other stuff right now. So she's not available because I already asked her. Oh. Well, actually, she actually told me a while back that she wasn't going to do it because she's taking a break from all that right now, which is sad faces. But anyway, so I digress. And I have an uncle that's an English teacher that might be able to edit it for me too, but I'm not really sure what his schedule and things are. And I was thinking of asking him to do Recognizing God's Hand in My Life for me, but not the Lanoya one for me. I don't know why. I just get random thoughts, impressions, ideas. I just kind of go with it. I figure that's the direction God wants me to go for whatever reason. So get my uncle to do the shorter, more personal one. Get my friend to do the slightly longer. And neither one of them are like really long books. Lanoya ended up being twice as long as I thought it was going to be when I originally started writing it because it was meant to be a brief, short summary thing. And Recognizing God's Hand in My Life, I don't think is as long as I thought it was going to be, but it's also not finished. I'm still not done with my revisions and I might feel impressed to add more things to it, or it might just be okay as a short little, 50 page book. But I also know that a 40, 50 page book, in a Word document, when you actually put it in a book size and font, could actually become closer to like, I don't know, double. I don't know if it's quite double, but I think it's more than what it is. So maybe like 1.5 times. So if it's a 50-page book, it'll be like 75 pages or something. So my 50-page book will be closer to the 75 pages when it's actually published, I think. It's still a short book. It's not like it's a long, crazy book. But then my 75-page book will probably be closer to, I don't know, 120 or something. I don't know what half of 75 is. I don't want to do the math on that because it's like 37.5 or something weird. So it would definitely be like 110, 120 pages or something in a published version. So again, longer than it currently is as far as page numbers go. But I mean, the length of the book really isn't any any different. And I did have this friend that did some kind of formatting with it, and he made it like 140 pages. And I was like, how did you do that? Like, I don't know what he did to it. And maybe it's more like 120. I don't remember. But I was like, how do you do that? And I still haven't got him to show me how to do it. I think he offered one time, and I told him I was busy or too tired that night, but we could do it another time. And then it just never happened. So now that I'm getting closer to actually getting my book ready to publish, I might have him come help me with the whole formatting thing. Or maybe when I get it back from my friend, if she can edit it for me. Otherwise, I have to find someone else to edit it for me. So I'll be on a hunt for an editor. But at least I will not be out of things to write, because I still have, I'm only maybe halfway through rewriting The Fall of Espanglonia. So when I am done with Lenoya and the Teachers of Powers and recognizing God's hand in my life while they're out to editors and beta readers and whatever that's going on with those books, I can work on The Fall of Espanglonia. And when I'm finished with that, I can send it out. And then I will see what other revisions I need to do with my other books, if any, before I can publish them. And then obviously I have other books that I can write that I have started. The Wise One that I might be able to finish, The Boy from the Stone, another series I'm debating whether or not to write. All kinds of things that I have to write. So it's not like I'm going to run out of things to write in the end of my 100 days, even if I finish a couple of books and I'm only like, what am I, 35 days in? And I was kind of hoping to already have finished something being 35 days in, because if I did a chapter a day for 35 days, I mean, I should have something finished. But I keep bouncing around between my books because that's what I do. My brain goes to different stories and different ideas, and that's what I do, and that's how I write. So getting myself this close to any one book of being finished is a miracle to me at this point. So I'm very grateful for that. And I am grateful that I'm excited to finish Lenoya and the Teachers of Power. So if I didn't finish it tonight, but I will tomorrow go in and take that character out of chapter 21, because I was debating, and I'm grateful that I get to do these little videos, because sometimes just talking it out loud kind of helps me figure it out. And I think he doesn't need to be in chapter 21. And I already said that he wasn't going to come down in chapter 20. So there's no point for him to be in chapter 21. And I can still do all the other cool stuff I did in chapter 21. And I'll just have to change the ending, just have someone else say what he was going to say, and it'll be fine. I can just reword it that way. And then, of course, I still have to look at the last chapter, which, again, I mean, it may require me to add a few more details to it, or it'll be just fine the way that it is. And it won't require more than like 15, 20 minutes like this one did. And then I will be like, yay, my book is done. But I mean, it won't be like done, like ready to publish, because I know I've gone through and made some changes, and all of those changes will need to be edited and fixed, because I'm sure I still haven't gotten the correct punctuation everywhere. Probably missed a few words. Like tonight I had something that should have said and it was and in it. I do random things like that, or forget the little punctuation symbols, the quotation marks. There we go. So it's like I put it at the beginning of the quotation, the person talking, and then I forget at the end. My beta reading friend keeps pointing that out in my reading. Plus the italicized things, where I italicize the internal thoughts in the beginning, and then I don't somewhere in the middle. And so it's like, oh yeah, that's an internal thought. It should be italicized. Thanks for the reminder. So she kind of did a little bit of editing with her beta reading, which was cool. But when I change entire sentences or chapters, paragraphs, whatever, I still need someone to go back through and edit that for me, and preferably someone that will edit the content as well as just the words, because I guess there's a difference between just going through and making sure that they do all of the I don't know the terminologies, I apologize, but I know there's a difference, because there's the editing version where they just go through and they check for basic sentence structure and punctuation and things like that, but they don't actually edit the content. So they don't go through and say this doesn't make sense or this does, or they don't do the all of that. But there's where you can go through and edit just the content and not necessarily. And editing the content is kind of like being a beta reader, but not exactly. But it's just making sure that everything is consistent for the whole book. Like for my book, I kind of use different terminology, and I might go back and undo it. I've debating, but I was using even, kind of like evening for even instead of like evening or night. And then I just wasn't using the word even like you would for anything else. I went through and made sure I took that out. I did have it in a couple places, and I was like, dang it, I missed that one. So I'm trying not to use that word for anything, or like using not instead of never and things like that. Trying not to use those words, because I'm wanting their language to be just a little bit different, the terminology a little bit different. But my one friend that's doing my book covers, I hope, she was saying that it was kind of confusing. And then I was talking about the even sky, like evening sky, just even sky. She's like, oh, that makes more sense. So when I was going back through and revising my book, I changed everything to even sky. But I realized that after you start reading like a few paragraphs or a few chapters or whatever with the same terminology, that even starts sounding like evening, and you totally understand what it is without having to put the sky after it. So I don't know if I want to keep the sky after it, or if I want to um, leave it off, or just put it there like in the beginning so people get kind of an idea, and then kind of take it off when we're just saying night instead of the night sky. We're saying just night or something. I don't know. I'm kind of debating because I don't want to confuse the readers, and I do have a separate sheet of paper, not sheet of paper, a separate document that will actually be put in the front of the book, kind of like, I don't know if you call it an appendix or what. The appendix goes in the back of the book, but it'll be like in the front, like the title page in the chapters where you have like the list of chapters. So it'll either be in the front or the back, but it'll just be like a list of terminologies. I'll just call it like terminologies, and for the book, so that like you can just look at it and say, this is what this means. Because I use the word bride instead of wife, because I think that's very romantic, and it's very cool that someone's been together for like 15, 20 years and they still, or 50 years or whatever, and they still refer to their wife as their bride. So it's not meant to be like a newlywed thing, then like not newlywed, newly married or whatever. I also use the word joined, like joined together instead of married. So I have just different terminologies that I use for my book. So I just want to put a piece of paper, not a piece of paper, just a page in the book, when I publish it, that kind of explains all of that for anybody that doesn't get it into context. Because you can kind of figure it out by the end of the book. I think the more you read into it, the more you figure it out. But I guess it gets a little bit confusing, or it was a little bit confusing to some of my friends. And so, and I'm like, some of them just figured it out by the end. Some of them I just told them. My one friend, she's actually saw my first book, The Fall of Espinglandia, and I actually sent the list of terminology. So she's like, I pulled that out to read it. And she's like, at first it was a little confusing, but then like once you start getting into the story, it's like, it totally flows with the conversation, the way people talk. You kind of get it through the context of the book, which is how I think you get most of things when people create their own worlds. You kind of get a lot of the conversation, the context from the way that they're writing, the way that it's written. So it's good that you can figure it out from the context. The further into the book you go, the more you read it. But I'm trying to make it so it's a little less confusing. So, I mean, I have that I will add to it. I'm just kind of, again, debating the words, because I'm like, I like even without even sky, but even sky works too. It just kind of sounds funny when I say it out loud. Like, I haven't said it out loud. I've just said it in my head. So saying it out loud, I'm like, I don't like even sky out loud as much as I like even. So even. So I might go back through and take it out. I'm still debating that one because I just went through, revised my book and tried to put it in every time I saw it. So I have like the one chapter left. But I mean, it's one of those easy things where you can just go find and replace or whatever. So you can find this and then replace it with this, and it's fine. It's not like it's that hard. And in some places I do want the sky to be there because I'm referring to the night sky. So I want it to be there. But a lot of the places I'm like, I don't really care if it's there. It's not really necessary to the context of the story. I just had to keep reminding myself to put it in there. So I may talk to a couple people before I make that decision, or I may discuss it with like my friend if she could edit my book and see what she thinks about it. But that's pretty much what I have. I'm just rambling tonight, I think, because I'm a little bit tired, and I got into my book and got excited because I was so close to finishing it, and it's one of those things where I'm like, man, I wish I'd given myself the time to do it earlier, because I love getting into my writing. It gets very exciting to get into my writing. And I was talking to someone tonight at work, and he does some painting, or drawings and stuff like that, and he was talking about it, but he was talking about how intimate it is and how personal it is, and I was like, it is, I get it, I understand, but he doesn't want to share it with the world, and I understand that, because like sharing that, because he's creating it and it's his own creation and he's proud of it, he loves it, he likes it, but it's like he keeps it to himself because it's his. It's like it's his secret place. Like my writing has been like my daydreaming, my writing, they're my secret place, they're my safe place, they're, some place that is mine that can't be judged by the world, but it's an extension kind of who I am. And so putting it out there makes me very vulnerable, it makes me open and exposed. But I think it's also kind of freeing to put it out there and to let it go. At least I hope that it is, because I haven't done it yet. But I mean, so many authors and so many people write their books and put it out there, but so many people don't. They write their own stuff and only their friends or family know that they write or do anything. Or, people find their work after they're dead and then they're published and they're like famous. Like what, I can't remember her name now. Emily Dickens, I think, was one of those that none of her works got published. She just kind of lived by herself, and she wrote all this stuff and she never shared it with anybody. And then when she passed away, they went in and found all of her stuff and they're like, cool. And they published all of it. And some of it wasn't finished because she didn't get a chance to finish it. But she became very well known for her works, but not when she was alive. So that happens, especially like with artists and things too. That's more common with artists than it is with writers, I think. But it happens both ways. I don't necessarily want to be one of those people where people find my work after I'm dead. I'm afraid they're going to do that with my journals anyway. And I'm like, oh, just burn them after I'm dead, okay? Because I'm like, I know someone would say that's really sad because that's all my history. But I'm like, who wants to go through and read my history? I don't even want to go through and read my history. I don't even want to go through and write a book about my history. But I'm doing it anyway. And it's a very condensed version, obviously, because like I said, I have like 70 some odd journals that I have filled up over the years, or that I've written something in over the years. And but I have a book that I'm writing, just recognizing God's hand in my life, and it is limited to like 50 pages, so or less, I don't know. I haven't quite finished it. So I know there's lots more of experiences in my life that I've had that is showing that I've seen God's hand in my life way more than I'm remembering as far as this book goes that I'm writing. But I think the purpose of the book is kind of to, it's for the trauma purposes, the things that seemed traumatic or difficult, the trials that I can remember, the things that I've struggled through with that, and then recognizing God's hand in my life for that. And of course, there's other little things that have always been there, little miracles and little things that if I remember, I'll mention or write about. And probably everything I've done since I've started doing these gratitude videos and these videos for talking about my writing. And God has just like blessed me so much and changed my perspective and helped me to see and learn new things about myself and discover things about myself, and given me the courage to share this with other people and to just be like, this is my way up, my way out. My hope that I have found in my life, my reason for my purpose, reason for getting out of bed, for going, motivation to keep doing things. And I needed that because I was in a place in my life where I was stuck in my depression. I was stuck in the past. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't function. I couldn't do things. And so I've been doing a lot of things since then. It's kind of crazy just looking at all the stuff that I've done. And of course, my problem is I still look at all the stuff that I haven't done that still needs to be done, that I just don't have the time or energy to do right now. That's just not really a priority. It would be nice if it was done, but it's not a priority. And I keep forgetting that, and I keep focusing on the undone instead of the done, which when I was doing my gratitudes, it really helped me to focus on the things that were done, the things that I'm accomplishing. And so I'm grateful I can still see the things that I'm accomplishing, the things that I'm doing, that I can still be excited about my writing, that I'm actually excited to share my stuff. And I realized talking to this person tonight, that this artist, I realized how sad is that he's not sharing his gifts, his talents with the world, that he's created these things that he's proud of, that he thinks are very beautiful, but he's hiding it from everybody. And then it kind of, that's one of those things, you point a finger at one person, you got three fingers pointing back at you. And not that I'm pointing a finger at him, I was just thinking kind of sad. But then I was like, oh, that's like me and my writing. If I don't share it with the rest of the world, how sad is that? Because I have this talent, I have this gift, I have these stories that I think are really cool, that have entertained me in my head for years. But I've just been afraid to share them with the world, afraid that I would be judged or mocked, or that people wouldn't understand what I was trying to say or what I was trying to do. And now that I'm finding the courage to share it, I'm finding that people are actually interested in my stories, that want to learn more about my world that I've created, that are just curious about everything. So it's a lot of fun trying to figure it out and trying to rewrite and recreate and all of those things. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to write my books, and I'm excited to see what happens when they get published. Nervous, but kind of excited and grateful for the experiences that I've had and learning how to do it. And I'm sure my later books will obviously be better than my earlier ones, because I'm still learning. It's a process, and I will continue to learn. I will continue to grow. I will continue to get new ideas, I hope, I think. But I hope that these ones will be good too. I'm trying to make them the best that I possibly can before I put them out there, in part because I just want them to be the best that they possibly can, and in part because I'm just procrastinating putting them out there. But I'm grateful I'm doing these writing videos, because it means that I have to write every single day, which is forcing me to actually finish my work, which is good. It's good for me. I know it's good for me, and it will help me to grow, and I'm grateful for that. And I think I'm just really rambling right now, and I apologize. So if you like these videos, hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think it will help them. And just know there's a way up, there's a way out, there is hope through our Savior, Jesus Christ. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude.